What a whirlwind we've got unfolding in the NBA, and somehow it's tying back to the Boston Celtics in ways nobody really expected this offseason. Just a few weeks away from the return of training camp, and while it's been relatively quiet in Boston compared to the chaos erupting elsewhere, the ripple effects of what's happening with the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard could end up impacting the entire league. And yes, maybe even the Celtics. Let's start with the basics, because this Clippers situation has gone from weird to potentially catastrophic in a matter of days. At the heart of it all, Kawhi Leonard allegedly receiving $28 million from a now-investigated company called Aspiration, all while doing absolutely nothing. No commercials, no social media posts, no appearances, nothing. And that's not speculation anymore. This is part of an ongoing federal investigation now involving the SEC and, reportedly, just about every major regulatory body you can imagine. Now, compare that to what we're used to seeing from stars like Jason Tatum. He might not be the most charismatic actor in his TV spots, but you see him everywhere in the Boston market. Local ads, national campaigns, billboards, you name it. It's pretty standard. Star player, big city, media market. They're the face of the franchise on and off the court. But Kawhi? This deal wasn't just unusual. It was invisible. The man was earning more from this mystery partnership than from his actual shoe deal with New Balance. And for what? Not even a tweet. So how does this tie back to the Celtics? Well, if this all gets proven, and there's a ton of smoke here, it means the Clippers may have been blatantly circumventing the NBA salary cap, which could blow the doors wide open for a massive investigation and even harsher penalties. Think back to the Joe Smith situation in Minnesota. That was a deal under the table, and it cost the Timberwolves multiple first-round picks. Now imagine that happening again, but with the richest owner in the league, Steve Ballmer, involved in a fraudulent scheme that could result in draft picks being stripped, contracts voided, and reputation shattered. And again, this all comes at a time when the Celtics are doing everything by the book. They're trying to stay under the luxury tax apron, cutting salary, moving big contracts like Porzingis and Jrue Holiday just to give themselves some breathing room. Meanwhile, the Clippers might have been sneaking around the rules to retain a superstar and build a contender. That contrast alone should be infuriating to Celtics fans. Boston's had to make tough sacrifices this summer. The Clippers? They might have just made side deals and handshakes that break every rule in the book. Let's dig even deeper into this. Steve Ballmer reportedly invested $50 million into Aspiration. Somehow, Kawhi Leonard ends up receiving $28 million of that in salary and another $20 million in stock options. That's 48 out of $50 million, almost the entire investment. If that doesn't make you raise an eyebrow, I don't know what will. And if that's not enough, Ballmer's longtime associate, Dennis Wong, also a minority owner of the Clippers and reportedly Ballmer's former roommate at Harvard, stepped in personally to fund this shady company with $2 million when they were dead broke. Why? Well, magically, just days later, Kawhi received his $1.75 million quarterly payment. It's almost comically obvious. Now, the NBA has opened a serious investigation into all of this. And it's not just some light audit. Reports suggest they've hired top-tier forensic analysts, the kind of people you don't bring in unless you're expecting to uncover some heavy stuff. The timing of this is wild, too. The Clippers are about to move into a brand new arena. They're hosting the All-Star Game. Ballmer's been praised for investing in fan experience, even designing areas of the new arena to keep diehard fans close to the action with cheaper ticket prices. But how does all that look now when the guy in charge of your ethics committee might have helped funnel millions to one of his stars through a fraudulent shell? Imagine if the roles were reversed. Picture the Celtics trying to keep a guy like Jaylen Brown by offering him a little under-the-table bonus through some fake partnership. Let's say Boston signs him for $35 million per year officially, and then quietly works out a side deal. Hey, Jaylen, don't worry about it. Here's an extra $15 million through a fake pizza company. No commercials, no billboards, no tweets. Just take the check. That's essentially what seems to have happened in LA. And if it's true, it completely undermines the spirit of the salary cap. And every team who's following the rules ends up at a competitive disadvantage. It matters for the Celtics because Boston has been forced to shed real, meaningful talent to stay within the cap structure. They couldn't keep everyone. They let go of players like Porzingis and Drew Holiday, even though they made a massive impact last season. And now, with the roster shifting again, the Celtics are relying on expiring contracts and value deals to fill in the gaps. Players like Anthony Simons, who just showed up to practice and was featured on Celtics social media, might become key cogs in a squad that's had to retool quickly and efficiently. And while Simons has upside, make no mistake, he's on a ticking clock. That $27 million contract is expiring, and he's likely being looked at as a trade asset more than a long-term piece. Still, he brings something this team needs: instant offense. He averaged 19 points per game last season, shooting 36% from three on heavy volume. We're talking over 8 attempts per game. That's elite spacing. Joe Mazzulla, who loves a trigger-happy system, is going to let Simons fire away. But you get the sense that this is a stopgap, a piece to keep things moving as the Celtics prepare for bigger decisions down the road. And speaking of Mazzulla, one of the most underappreciated storylines this offseason has been the way he's embraced the team culture side of coaching. He's not just drawing up X's and O's, he's showing up for his players. Visiting Derek White in Colorado, appearing at events hosted by Nemias Quetta, spending time with Tatum and Jalen off the court. That stuff matters, especially when you're in a transitional phase. This isn't last year's finals caliber roster. There are questions. There are new roles to be figured out. If Mazzulla can get buy-in across the board, it might be the difference between another deep run and a step backward. Meanwhile, over in Los Angeles, things might be imploding. And here's where things could really get wild. If this scandal drags on, and let's be honest, it's not wrapping up next week, the NBA might be forced to act mid-season. Think Christmas. Think All-Star break. Think high drama. And if that hammer drops, we could see Kawhi Leonard's contract voided. We could see draft picks stripped. We could see the entire Clippers front office reshuffled. And then what? If Leonard becomes a free agent due to contract misconduct, how does that affect player movement? Who gets leverage? And who gets left scrambling? The NBA has a real opportunity and responsibility to set a tone here. This isn't just about one contract. It's about competitive balance. It's about fairness. It's about whether star power and money can buy success outside the lines. The Celtics, for all their roster juggling this offseason, have stuck to the system. And while they may not be the headline-grabbing team right now, that might end up working in their favor if the Clippers are forced into a reset. And let's not forget, this could impact playoff races, seeding, and maybe even open up space for Boston to move in if LA loses key pieces. Depending on how the league rules, this might be a domino effect that shifts the entire Western Conference hierarchy. And if the Clippers have to blow it up, that's one less super team in the mix. And while the Kawhi drama simmers in the background, Boston continues to bring their core guys back into the gym. Tatum's already been spotted at Duke working out with Cooper Flagg. Jalen's in Boston. Simons is in the building. The young guns are being sorted in Maine. It's a slow build, but the foundation's getting set. While all eyes are locked on the mess unraveling in Los Angeles, the Celtics are quietly setting the stage for what could be one of their most unpredictable seasons in recent memory. There's this unique blend of uncertainty and opportunity hovering over Boston right now. With big-name departures, new faces entering the fold, and the Eastern Conference shifting around them, the Celtics aren't just trying to contend. They're trying to survive the aftershocks of their own internal shakeups while staying ready to pounce on whatever chaos unfolds elsewhere in the league. Take Anthony Simons, for example. Just seeing his face in a Celtics jersey at practice raised eyebrows. Not because he's not talented, we all know what he brings, but because the Celtics have been incredibly tight-lipped about his future. Up until now, there hasn't been much public commitment to him. The fact that they posted him on social media is more telling than people think. It signals that, for now, he's part of the plan. Whether that plan lasts until February or just until a better offer lands on Brad Stevens' desk is another story. Simons isn't just a microwave scorer. He's one of the best volume three-point shooters in the league over the past 3 seasons. He's averaged close to 9 attempts per game, while maintaining a percentage in that 36 to 39% range. That's rare air. And in a system like Joe Mazzulla's, which encourages players to launch from deep without hesitation, Simons becomes a dangerous weapon. The challenge, of course, is figuring out how to maximize that skill without exposing Boston's backcourt on the defensive end. Because let's be real, Simons and Peyton Pritchard together is a defensive liability waiting to be hunted. But even so, this is what the Celtics are working with. They don't have the depth they once did. There's no Grant Williams anymore. No Marcus Smart. No Robert Williams to clean up the mess. The flexibility isn't there the way it used to be, so every rotation decision becomes more delicate. If Simons is going to get real minutes, Boston will need others to step up and compensate for his weaknesses. And maybe that's where we see someone like Neemias Quetta get more of a look. Or maybe that's where Sam Hauser's role continues to expand. Every small adjustment matters when your margin for error has tightened. That's part of why it's so important that Mazzulla seems to be taking his leadership beyond just the clipboard. The vibe around the Celtics right now feels different. Not necessarily better or worse than last year, but more personal. The head coach isn't just showing up to press conferences, he's showing up for the players. Whether it's spending time with Derek White at his off-season event in Colorado or hopping on stage at a community function hosted by Neemias Quetta, Mazzulla is going out of his way to be present. That might not directly translate to wins in April, but it definitely helps in December, when rotations get tested and the season starts to drag. At the same time, there's a quiet buzz forming around the Celtics' developmental pipeline, especially with the announcement of the new main Celtics roster. 9 players expected to suit up for the G League affiliate. And while most of them are familiar faces from Summer League or previous stints with the program, there's some intrigue in the mix. The most obvious one? Amari Williams. The second-round pick might not have made headlines during the draft, but his name is starting to come up more frequently in conversations about Boston's long-term frontcourt options. Given the Celtics' current lack of size and reliable depth behind their starting bigs, Williams might find himself called up sooner rather than later. He's raw, sure, but he brings something the roster lacks: physicality, energy, and a willingness to defend the paint. He might not stretch the floor the way a modern big is expected to, but there's a place in this league for guys who can protect the rim and rebound like their lives depend on it. With Porzingis gone and the rotation thinning, someone like Williams could absolutely earn minutes in spot duty, especially if he embraces a role that doesn't require touches to impact the game. Of course, there's also a fair bit of roster noise that still needs sorting out. The Celtics are not done trimming salary. That much is clear. They've already shed major pieces, but they're still flirting with the second apron, and with the new CBA penalties looming large, they'll have to make at least one more move before the trade deadline to stay financially flexible. That could mean moving someone like Simons if his value spikes early in the season. Or it could mean parting with a younger, cheaper player if it helps them package a deal for a playoff-ready piece. Either way, Brad Stevens is going to have to get creative again. And don't overlook the importance of chemistry through all of this. The Celtics have built their recent success not just on talent, but on continuity and cohesion. That gets disrupted when you ship out veterans and bring in guys on expiring deals. It takes time to reestablish trust on the court, to know where someone's going to be on a back cut or who switches on a screen instinctively. And the Celtics don't have the luxury of easing into the season. They're expected to contend. That pressure doesn't change just because the roster did. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are circulating throughout the NBA, and the epicenter seems to be Boston. Jason Tatum, the star forward of the Celtics, finds himself once again at the heart of speculation after suffering a recent injury, the details of which remain closely guarded. Insiders suggest that the team has yet to set a clear timetable for his return, leaving fans, analysts, and opponents alike in a state of anxious anticipation. Sources within the Celtics organization, speaking on condition of anonymity, hinted that the severity of Tatum's injury might be more significant than initially reported. The team's medical staff, usually quick to provide updates, has remained unusually tight-lipped, fueling rumors about potential long-term implications. This silence has only added to the whirlwind of conjecture surrounding the star forward's availability in the coming weeks, if not months. Speculation is rife across social media and sports networks. Some analysts suggest that Boston could be forced to rethink its strategy, perhaps leaning more heavily on its supporting cast or considering temporary roster moves to compensate for Tatum's absence. Others, however, remain optimistic, pointing to Tatum's history of resilience and impressive comebacks, insisting that while the timetable is uncertain, the Celtics leader will likely return stronger. Amid all this, one thing seems clear: opponents are watching closely. Teams around the league are reportedly recalibrating their game plans, sensing an opportunity in Boston's potential vulnerability. Meanwhile, fans flood online forums with theories ranging from cautious optimism to outright concern, debating how the Celtics will navigate the turbulent weeks ahead. In the heart of Boston, the atmosphere is tense yet hopeful. The buzz surrounding Tatum's status has taken on a life of its own, blending hope, fear, and curiosity into the perfect storm of NBA rumor culture. Whether this is the start of a brief setback or the beginning of a longer journey toward recovery, the basketball world waits, watches, and speculates. The question on everyone's lips remains the same: when and how will Jason Tatum step back onto the court for the Celtics? For now, the rumor mill spins relentlessly, and Boston, like the rest of the league, can only wait. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.